I see dead people. I see dead people. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of PT3600, where you can get 3,600 seconds of pure, unadulterated Primal Target. This is where we talk about one random topic for 1 hour. My name is Ryan A. Moore, but joining me is...
It's Josh again.
But not Josh again. And also...
Ashton, what up, guys?
And in this topic, we are going to be talking about some spoopy stuff. So,
Ghosts and goblins and ghouls.
yeah. So this is our special Halloween episode. Hello, everybody, and
Hello.
I don't know, shalom.
I said yellow.
Oh, I was like, oh wow, not really.
I don't know if they celebrate Halloween.
yeah.
No, I don't think so. But anyway, so what's gonna happen
Shalom,
here
trick or treat.
is we're gonna talk about some spooky stories and things like that we've, I guess, witnessed and whatnot. I guess I'm more of the moderator because I've only had like one uneasy feeling, but that's pretty much it. And if we talk about that, then whenever. But for the most part, it's gonna be Ashton and Josh talking because they got some scary stuff.
Scary story.
So I don't know which one of you wants to go first.
I guess I could go first because mine's
Okay.
pretty quick.
Okay.
Mine's not like super involved.
Do you have more, or do you just have one?
Well, I have the one that I experience on a semi-regular basis, I guess, and then I've got the thing that I watch or whatever. There's this other guy that I watch on YouTube who gets haunted sometimes. But I'll just start with my house thing because, you know, the YouTube thing's by the by. We could always talk about that
Our
later.
house
But
in the middle of this.
But anyway, so when I was 13, I think it was when I was 13 or 14. Because I think I was a sophomore in high school at the time. The house that we lived in flooded, and so we had to move out of the house because it basically got to the point where it was inside the house, and we couldn't salvage it really. Like they had to do a bunch of repairs. Somebody eventually moved into that house, but we moved into a house not too far away, and like a few miles down the road or whatever, on the opposite side of the freeway. And when we bought the house, there was a couple that lived there, and they had lived there for approximately a year, and they had built the house on the site. But prior to that, there's apparently a Native American guy who lived there, and he lived in like a trailer or something. And it sat where they had put up a chicken coop where his trailer was, because I guess where his trailer had sat, like all the ground was just dead. And so they were like, oh, okay, well, we'll just put a chicken coop up there. The chickens could scratch out all the dead ground, whatever. And I guess he used to throw his garbage in the yard, which I do have some funny stories about that too, if we ever get to that topic involving that. But anyway, that the Native American dude died on the property, and I guess he was like pretty in touch with his culture from what I hear, because they had talked to him previously when they were buying the land that he was living on. And so he died, they built the house, and then they lived there for a year, and then I guess according to the guy that lived there, he was like, oh, I got a job in Seattle, we're moving out or whatever. It was like, oh, okay. We didn't think anything of it. We just thought, oh yeah, okay, some dude died on the property or whatever. But then, so we're living in the house, and, you know, everything's fine for the first, like, I'd probably say year or two. But just randomly, then things, like, started kind of being uneasy, and it was really strange because there's a number of times where I'll be in the house at night, because I'm kind of a night owl, and so I'll stay up pretty late, and I'll be up at like 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and everybody's asleep. And I swear that I'm hearing people walking up and down the hallway because our floors creak. So there's a lot of creaky spots in our floors, especially in our bathroom and in our hallway. And the bathroom creaks, the hallway creaks. There's a couple times, actually the other night I went out to the kitchen, and I swear, like, on my heart of hearts, that I turned out the kitchen light when I left the kitchen, and I went back into my bedroom, And I was, I had to move back into my childhood home. I guess if anybody's wondering why I'm like, oh, I was just there the other day. Hard times, economy and all, but I'm living there with my siblings at the moment. And so I was staying in the bedroom that I used to stay in. And then I went from the kitchen to the bedroom, stayed in the kitchen for like now I'm getting all jumbled here. I went from the kitchen to the bedroom, stayed in the bedroom for like 10 or 15 minutes. I was just watching something, doing something. I think I was waiting for, because I'd started cooking something, and I turned out the light and left. But then when I went back out there, the light was on, and nobody was up. And so I'm just like, that's weird. Like,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I turned that light off.
That'd be a little uneasy.
Yeah, and there's a few times where there's cabinets. Like, I've discovered a couple cabinets open, and I'm sure that nobody's opened them because usually this stuff happens at night when people are asleep. And my siblings don't sleepwalk. Nobody, like, other than my brother, maybe every once in a while to get up to go to the bathroom. He doesn't get up and just randomly walk around in the kitchen and stuff. So yeah, it's really strange. So, like, there's been cabinets that have been open, the creaky hallways and stuff. When I used to have my pet cat, this is what would get me. So randomly I'd just be playing with her, right? She'd be totally fine, and then she would stop everything she was doing, and then she would just stare at a spot, like in the bedroom, or stare at a spot in the living room, and she would just stare. And then, like, her eyes would get really wide, like a cat's eyes do, like when they're facing,
when they're gonna hunt.
Yeah, like they're looking at prey or something. But then I would like try to get her attention, try to be like, hey, what are you doing? Like, Abby, like, what are you doing? And she wouldn't move. She was like frozen solid.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and then the dogs too. Sometimes they'll bark at nothing. Like, there would be no cars coming down the road. There would be nobody in the driveway. I'll just be chilling at home or whatever, and then all of a sudden they're just barking up a storm, barking at something, barking at somewhere, or like the corner of the room, and it's like, what in the hell? And then my sister, my sister Julie, like, she's really big into like ghost hunting and stuff, and
nice.
She's been on a few ghost hunting tours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, things like that. Like, she's really into it. She goes to graveyards all the time.
Holy
She
shit.
bought herself an EVP machine, and apparently she's been getting readings in the house. She's walking around the house all the time because she'll do stuff like she'll like burn sage and stuff to like try to purify the house. And she's quote unquote an antique collector, but more like she likes to buy things that are supposedly haunted. Like, the house looks like an ancient museum because it's full of.
It looks like that scene from The Conjuring where they go down into the basement and they have all of those artifacts like Annabelle.
Yep.
And like the thing from The Nun and like all these different things.
Yep.
That's a crazy person.
It's pretty much, it looks like that. We've got so many like 19th century dolls floating around our house, like the little porcelain ones and stuff.
Nope.
Yeah.
She's got this one. Obviously, it's like a more modern doll because it's got electronics in it. But like when you walk by, it goes like, "I'm watching you. I know where you sleep at night." And it's like, what the hell? And it's like,
Why would you get that?
Like, yeah, why would you get that? And so it's like, now, as of recent, because she has all this stuff, every so often I'll be sitting in the bedroom and I'll hear a doll go, "I'm watching you," or we've got this rug that it's like a wolf pelt. It looks like a fake werewolf pelt, basically, and it has this thing in it that goes when you step on it. Well, there was one night that thing would not stop going off, and nobody was out there, and it's like, what the shit? So I turned it off because I was freaking out, because I was like, dude, like, what is out here? Because that thing's going off every 5 seconds, 10 seconds. And then recently they got this thing on the door, this like Halloween thing that goes off pretty easily. I don't know if it's just based off of sound or if something has to walk in front of it. I turned that off too because I don't want to be listening to that every 5 minutes, because that thing, it good ding dongs, and then it's like, oh, do you want some candy? Because they got it for Halloween. But I don't know if it's based off of the sound or if it's based off of sensor, like something walking in front of it, because it goes off a lot. And so I was like, no, we got to turn that off. That's not good. So our property, because the house sits in the middle of 5 acres, so it's just, and we live out in like basically like kind of the boonies a little bit. So it's like
Makes
a
it
house.
worse.
Yeah, it's a house in the middle of a pitch black field in the middle of a pitch black rural neighborhood. So if you walk out like more than 10 feet from our house, like our spotlight, which we had to put up in after the fact because we didn't have any lights out there, you basically walk into pure black darkness. And
Oh my God.
yeah, so it's really creepy out there sometimes because when the summer was like in the middle of the summer, I walked outside one night and it was just silence, like no crickets, no frogs, no nothing, just quiet. And it was like, this is eerie, dude. Like, this doesn't seem right. I'm always freaked out that I'm gonna get attacked by some creature of some sort out there.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Like, it's pretty freaky. But yeah, overall, like, I haven't had any personal like run-ins with this ghost that we think is haunting our house, but I've definitely heard things, I've seen things, but I've never like, I guess I've never felt it like touch me, I guess, like, you know, when you feel like, oh, there's like a burning or a cold sensation, you know. But
Oh, okay. Yeah.
but I will say that I've noted that the temperature has gotten colder in the room every once in a while, and I'll hear stuff kind of shift around, and I'm just like, sometimes I'm just like not in the mood. I'm just like, dude, not right now. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. And usually whoever it is pretty well mannered, and they kind of leave you alone. But there's some days where you'll hear things walking around in the house, and it's pretty creepy. I'm not one. I believe in ghosts. I have a different theory on what I think ghosts are, and I'm not one to just like be like, oh yeah, there's a ghost haunting my house. Like, I wouldn't say that if I didn't.
What's your
legitimately
theory? Let's hear it.
Oh,
Well, it kind of goes into that one, before you answer that question, it kind of goes into that thing of like, if you believe in the afterlife at this point, like, this is that question too.
well, I
So,
believe
like-
I believe in an afterlife, or an afterlife, but like not in a conventional sense. Like,
So are you like, is that the
I-
agnostic? Is that what that word is?
I suppose,
Like, you
yeah,
believe
like,
that there's something, there's a higher being, but you don't know
not necessarily
exactly
that there's a
what
higher
the-
being, but there's like more to the universe than what we can see for sure. But my whole idea of what death and ghosts are is, so currently we live in the third dimension, or well, we live throughout the fourth dimension, and we perceive three dimensions. Like, if you were a two-dimensional being, you couldn't perceive the third dimension because you're living in it.
Yeah,
So-
'cause you're on a piece of paper.
Right, and so, well, you would have to be, yeah. But to a flatlander, what I like to call them, or what I've heard them called before as well. If you were to show them like a ball, it would pass through their world as just single lines, right? So to us, the fourth dimension that we can't technically perceive is a physical variant of time, I guess, and that can be kind of misconstrued the way it's explained. But anyway, to make a long story short, essentially what my idea of ghosts are is just those beings living in that fourth dimension, and maybe they're at that, like, where they were at that point in time doesn't matter. Like, it could be somebody from the 1800s, it could be somebody from 4,000 years ago, but because they're living now in the next dimension, because they've died and basically transcended what they perceive here, then they're able to live through those times again. And so if something's been built up around them, like say somebody dies in like 1900 and the house gets built where they died, and it's like 2000, right? So that person thinks they're in 1900 because they're able to perceive.
So it's like that movie, The Others.
Yeah. Similar to that,
Interesting.
but with a little bit more science involved. Like imagine like Interstellar mixed with The Others, I guess.
Okay.
Like, you know, because like the way time shifts for them is different because they're perceiving it differently. And so to them, like, they might be living in their life and not even realize things are going up around them in the future or from the past or whatever. And then when we interact with them, it's somehow them skipping that dimensional barrier, and we just perceive them at that moment, and then they're gone again, you know?
See, because I've talked to a couple people with my experiences, which we'll get to here soon, but that kind of align with that theory, like where, you know, these quote-unquote ghosts are living in a, you know, they think that they're in their time period and
Right.
everything is, you know, it's theirs.
Yeah.
They're not seeing what's going on around them. So I
Yeah,
kind of get
'cause-
what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like it might take, and it might possibly be even too, like, maybe, like, if you are a ghost, regardless of like how that works, like maybe it takes an enormous amount of energy to perceive your surroundings. Like Who knows?
Yeah.
They might be stuck in some kind of form of limbo, or if they are in another version of an afterlife, maybe it takes that like so much. Because the other thing, I guess, like real brief aside, I suppose I'll talk about that guy real quick. Because when this dude I watch on YouTube sometimes gets haunted or whatever, he believes he's the conductor for those ghosts. So they need to use an enormous amount of energy to basically find him, and then they're able to communicate through him. And so it's like, oh, like maybe
Like
they,
Ramtha?
like, yeah, I guess, yeah. My stepmom, my first stepmom, she was actually a believer in all that.
Oh, and Ramtha?
Yeah,
Wait,
dude.
so who is the girl? What's her name?
What girl?
Wait, so Ramtha is it like a Native American,
Yeah, that's
right?
the name of like the spirit.
Yeah, and then who's the girl?
I have no idea.
Okay, well,
she's like
the reason
host
why
body.
Ramtha is kind of a big deal for Washingtonians is because she lives out in Yelm,
Yeah.
which is literally, first off, weird city to even like have this even happen.
Yeah, I've driven by the
And,
little ranch or whatever.
Yeah, she has a full. So the person that can be, you can look this up, and she's been on like Oprah, like back in like the 90s and early 2000s
Yeah.
or whatever. And she lives out in Yelm, which is about like 25 minutes from Lacey, which is where we're kind of based around here in Washington. And yeah, she has a full-fledged mansion like in Yelm, and it's
Yeah.
the weirdest. It's so weird of like what's out there. And I know someone that worked on the house.
Oh, that's
Oh.
He worked. It's a friend of my stepdad's, I believe, if I remember this correctly. And he was helped build the like greenhouse that's at her house. Weird story. I don't know too much about it, but it's definitely an interesting one. Based on just the stuff I've heard. So if you want to look that up, just look up Ramtha.
Yeah.
She it's a woman that can speak, and then like Ramtha goes through her, and then she does a voice,
yeah.
and it's the most like I don't know about this.
If any of you guys out there ever watched Deep Space Nine, it's like Jadzia Dax on that show.
it's definitely a very interesting voice. But let's move over to Ashton, because Ashton's got a couple stories. So let's go with your first story, and then we'll go to my spoopy scenario, and then we'll go back to your thing.
Okay, so all of my stories, I believe, are connected because they all started with one thing, started this string of events. So I have a total of 4 stories, but I'll start with just the one. So when I lived in Hawaii, we lived on this retired naval base on Oahu. So there's like bunkers and like restricted areas around that's cut off. And we have the old houses with the shutters instead of the windows, and it's kind of like it would be more creepy, but it's sunny all the time, and it's supposed to be great. But normally it's really creepy. So me and a couple buddies, we're fooling around, and then one of them, who is super like superstitious, and would tell us about all these stories in the like the native stories of like Hawaii.
Oh, okay, like the Hawaiian.
Yeah,
Their
like
ancient
some of their
customs.
spiritual stuff. Like they had this one, just tell me about. It was like the night marchers or something. Like you'd hear drums but nothing, and then you'd either have to stay still or strip down naked, and then they would decide if you're gonna die or not. That's what I was told, and I was like, okay, that's fucked up. And all you hear is drums. But that same night that he told us that story, he's like, you know what? You guys want to try using a Ouija board? And I was like,
Oh, the Ouija board.
I was like, I guess, why not? Because I was a stupid kid in high school. So I was like, why not? Let's give it a shot. It was dark. He was like, all right, well, I got something special we're going to do to it. And I'm like, what do you mean? He was like, I'll show you later. So about an hour later, he comes out with like a piece of paper and a knife and a Ouija board.
Oh, no.
And a coin.
Oh, no.
Did you use blood magic?
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to
my
say, dude, yeah,
God.
you don't tamper with blood magic,
So
man.
that's what he did. He gave himself, you know, he didn't. It wasn't like a full-on slice like.
That would be the moment. That'd be the moment
Yeah,
when
'cause that would lacerate your hand.
If you came out with that and we were all sitting at a table, I'd be like, "Yep, I'm gonna go." And then you're like, "Well, wait a minute, this is your house." Yeah, I'm just gonna go. Like,
I'll be back tomorrow.
yeah,
He just gives himself a tiny little cut and then rubs the paper in it and it has something written on it.
I've seen Ghost Rider. I already know what happens next.
And then he places it on the board and then lights it on fire. And then after it smells the ashes, he blows it off. And then he's like, okay, let's start. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Is it too late to back out? He's like, nope, you were already here. You touched the ashes. You're in it. I'm like, okay. And, you know, for me, he's a little younger than me, so I'm kind of like, maybe this is bullshit. You know, maybe he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. So we start going through like some of the questions. You know, oh, can anyone hear me? And blah blah blah. And you know, I could tell people are like pushing the coin, and you know, it's coming from him. He's pushing shit to like hit the answers. I'm like, okay, this is stupid. But we ask a bunch of questions. He calls to like this one spirit and whatever. He said something in Hawaiian, so like it's an old ancient Hawaiian spirit or some shit, I don't know. And you know, ask him a bunch of questions, and then he's like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, what? Obviously you guys are pushing it. He's like, I'm not pushing it. I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. So he goes and puts it away, comes back outside, and then usually at night we like to play hide and seek tag, but you know, we get up on rooftops and stuff.
How old were you again?
I was in high school.
High school, okay.
Yeah. Use a little parkour, get on rooftops and stuff. There's a school on the property, and usually we cut through the restricted forest area with the bunkers.
Oh, okay.
So we were doing that, and you know, it's pitch black in there. And then as we're hopping the fence, we see something moving about, I want to say 50 yards out, behind some trees. And we hear some cracking, like some Blair Witch level cracking shit that you hear.
Yeah, like they're picking up sticks and breaking them.
And it's just like, what the fuck? What is happening? And we all put our attention in that direction. We see someone just walking steadily, straight line, just walking. And it's really weird is that they're dressed in all white, like a suit with a hat to match, like full on white, very clean, like they just got dressed and just decided to take a stroll through the woods of hell.
Yeah.
On an abandoned naval base.
Yes.
In a restricted area.
Restricted area with bunkers that are locked.
Yeah.
You need a special weird key to get into it. And we're like, you know, we all check with each other. You're seeing this, right? Like, this is real? You know, because you don't know if someone's going to play like, oh yeah, I totally see it too. So I ask them what they see, because I don't play that game. I know what I'm seeing. I need to know that they're seeing it too.
Yeah.
So I ask, what do you see? And they're like, I see a guy dressed in all white walking. Okay. So we call out to him. Hello. Do you need some help? Are you lost? Doesn't even look over. Just keeps walking. So we start walking towards it a little bit. You know, because there's about 5 of us, so we're like, oh, no biggie. You know, it's not like I'm by myself. If I was by myself, I'd just run.
Yeah, dude.
So we start walking towards it, and we start calling out more, and then stops, and then turns, but we can't make out a face. It's like, I don't know if it's the shadowing or what, because there's not really any light in there. But I couldn't make out eyes or anything like that.
So are you in the woods? Or are you in in a bunker right now?
No, we can't get in the bunker.
Okay,
Bunker's
so you're
inaccessible.
You're in the woods.
We're right
currently.
next to the bunker.
Okay.
In the woods.
And this figure is in the wood area?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
They're in the more densely covered area. We're still kind of sort of on the outskirts.
Got it, okay.
And turns, looks. Shit you not, everyone's just frozen, gets dead silent. We're just like, oh shit. Because like we don't know what to say, because we don't really know what we're looking at. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
And then he just turns and keeps walking. And then we say hello one more time, and after he passes the next group of trees, he disappears. And then
Do you want to pause or like go to my thing?
No.
Because you're leaving like so much like
No,
dramatic
it's-
effect to this.
because what happens next is really fucking weird, and what made us run out was that a light came on in the bunker.
What the shit?
So we fucking hopped the fence and booked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Didn't go back in there for a long time.
Yeah, I wouldn't at that point.
So yeah, that's part one. We'll shift over to Ryan
Yeah.
over
All
there.
right. Well, yeah, mine is more of like, I have been on the Queen Mary, which is considered one of the most haunted places in
That's
the
a
United
ship?
States. Yes, it is. And it's right now it's ported over in I don't know. I can't remember where it's actually at. It's over in the Anaheim area, Orange County area. It's not in Anaheim, but it's in the Orange County area. If you do get a chance to go check it out, I recommend going to check it out. A really fun time to go see it is Halloween, because they do not shy away from the fact that they are known for the most haunted place in America. But yeah, so what you do is there's just a tour and you can go on it, and they know what it is. Ghost Hunters has been there. If you guys watched Ghost Hunters when it was on Sci-Fi and whatnot, they did a whole 24-hour thing.
God.
And it's a pretty interesting ship. It's really cool. Like, it has a lot of historical facts. For the instance, like, it was a cruise liner, and then during World War II, it was painted gray and was nicknamed like the White Lady or something like that, or some version of that. And it was used as a naval ship. And then eventually, after World War II, then it was turned back into a cruise liner. And it sailed for another like 5 or some odd years.
Nice.
And it's pretty cool. Like, they have a turret that's on there, like a
Dude,
like
I love those big
it's pretty
battleship
cool.
turrets and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's still there to represent like this is the history of it. It's a really cool ship. You can actually stay there. On I think it's B deck is where you can normally stay, and also known as the most haunted place on the
I'd totally do that.
on that. You can stay there, but you can only way you can access it is by staying on the Queen Mary. There's a couple hot areas, as they say. There's a pool area, which the only way you can get to the pool area is by taking the haunted tour, but the haunted tour is a FX type of tour, so they're gonna have like flashing lights and poof, pitch black.
Do they still do cruises, or
They do not. They're officially ported because I will get to that in a second. But they do. The only way you can get to the pool area is by doing the haunted tour, which is offered daily, and then there's also that tour will also take you to the boiler room, which is only accessible through that tour as well. And the boiler room is insanely big. Like, you go, it's so weird because you're like, wait a minute, the ship, I guess, is this big to have this big of a boiler room just to exist in this. It's so weird. Like, size on a ship is very, like, you don't really understand it. Like, your brain
it's
almost
misleading.
doesn't understand how this can fit into this thing, because in your mind you're like, oh, it's a boat, but like, when in my mind I don't think boats are this big, and then you go into a boiler room, and a boiler room's the size of like a 2-story building, and so it's like, it's so weird that you can go in and see all this stuff. But that wasn't the spooky part. There's 2 spooky times that it happened that I felt very uneasy of. I wouldn't say like I saw ghosts or specters and whatnot, but I understand where people can feel uneasy in and on the ship. So when you go down to the main deck, you can actually look down this hallway, and this hallway runs from about like the first third of the ship and then goes straight down all the way to the end of the ship. It's just this one long hallway.
That's a long ass hallway.
But it's almost like an optical illusion, because the hallway is no bigger than if you were like a normal human being, normal adult, was to stand up straight and then put their arms out about halfway between, like, you know, T-pose to like to your
like
side.
a 45 degree angle.
Yeah, it's like it's not too wide, and then like someone can easily go from one end of the hallway to the other end of the hall, like across, in about like 2 steps. They can just go boom, boom, and they're in
It's
the other.
basically wide enough for 2 people to fit side by side.
Pretty much.
Like going sideways.
Yeah, and it's very crazy, and it's almost like it kind of bows in. So like there's this optical illusion of like it's really long, and I can definitely see it. Like someone may see somebody go from one room to from one room to the other, and it almost makes it seem like they're closer than they appear, kind of thing. But the one thing that set me off to the point of like I felt like, whoa, this is, I don't know what to think of this. And Jameson refused to walk into this room, and it's where they cut out the propeller, and they cut inside the ship so that you can walk into this like tent-like thing and look down, and you can see the propeller. But there's something eerie about like the water and it's like take like a bowl and put like a knife in it. When you look at it, the knife seems a bit smaller, but in your mind you're like, that's a normal knife, like it shouldn't look that small. So take that and like 3,000 times that.
Yeah.
And the propeller looks way smaller than you know it is, and your brain can't just comprehend it. And it's like this there's something about it, and like down into those like catacombs of a ship, because if you go on this like audio tour, they'll take you down there, and there's no one with you, so you're like you're going through all these boilers and like stuff, and there's just something about it that makes you feel so uneasy. Yeah, Jameson refused to walk into that room. You can shoot straight across, because I think other people do feel it, but I walked around it and I was just like, this is so weird. So if we ever go to California, we might want to go to Queen Mary.
I'll definitely go.
Do you think it was because somebody like fell on the propeller and died?
I don't know. There was a lot of a lot of people have died on the ship because some people would what do they call that when they sneak on the ship?
Trespass?
No, the
Stowaway.
Stowaway. Some people would stow away onto the ship, and because of that, they would get sick. And so then the crew had to like figure that out. So they would put them into the back of the ship, into the infirmary, and more than likely they died because this is the 1920s to 30s, so they can't really figure that out.
Getting a toothache would kill you.
Yeah, and especially during the war, they would also house wounded soldiers. So in that infirmary, unfortunately, a lot of them passed away. So people have died on the ship. And it has just this crazy long history with it. Another cool thing that they do have that's out over there where the Queen Mary is they have a Russian submarine. I did not get to go on it because it was a different ticket, but it did.
Oh yeah,
seem
submarines
pretty cool.
are tight, cramped quarters. I remember I went on a submarine.
I've only
when
been
I
on
was a
Finding
kid.
Nemo submarine voyage, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, we went on a field trip to a Navy, to go visit a Navy submarine, and when I was like maybe 10 or 11.
Was it yellow?
They're no, I wish. Yeah, they're really tight quarters and stuff, so it'd be really claustrophobic if you thought that place was haunted.
Yeah, I didn't hear any stories about the submarine just because I didn't go over there. But the Queen Mary definitely has some pretty intense history. There are supposed sightings of ghosts. There is a little girl that I think died over in the pool area, which is part of the play on when you go through that spooky tour, which, again, it does have like effects, so it's not true, like, they're gonna make you see something kind of thing, but it is known that there is a little girl, I think, that passed away down there, and that's one of the most haunted places. So yeah, it's pretty intense. There's some places that you aren't allowed to go to just because of
safety purposes.
That, and plus you also need to tell us a little more about it. But if you do that, there are some rooms that are a little bit haunted, more haunted than others. But I didn't experience really much of anything other than that eerie feel.
Can we visit these rooms? Nah, they're too haunted.
Yeah.
What if we give you a few extra dollars? No, can't do that. But we're trying to get laid. $10.
So yeah, that's my Queen Mary
Interesting.
stories.
Did you have another one you'd like to share, or would you like me to go, Josh?
Oh, you can go. I guess. Yeah. The only other thing I was gonna share was just those videos that I watched that dude
Okay.
on YouTube.
I'll go ahead and do my part 2 then, and I'll let you take over from there.
Okay.
Previously on Ashton's Horror Stories.
So this happened about 2 weeks-ish after the Ouija board incident.
I was gonna say 2 weeks of now.
No. So this one happened about 2 weeks after my first incident.
Dun, dun.
So we that school I talked about in previously is on the opposite side of the restricted wooded area, and this time we went around for obvious reasons, and we played manhunt, which is what we called.
What'd you call me?
Wow. They took their PS2 out to the school, plugged it in,
Yeah.
took a projector.
Yeah, so it's our version of hide and seek tag. You know, there's never just one person hit. It's like infection. You know, if you tag someone, they're on your team, but we can get out on the rooftops and stuff like that. Everything's on limits. So me and my buddy, we make our way out. Now there's no lights except for the ones that are like on the school buildings. So once you get about a 50-foot radius, 50 feet away from the school, you're in pitch black field.
Yeah, it's like those big floodlights that they have.
Yeah. Well, no,
I
they
guess
don't
they're
have
not-
that.
Not that bright, but they're like the square ones, though, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
just
yeah,
stick
yeah.
on the side of the
Yeah, exactly. So they got about a 50-foot distance of light that they can emit. And they're the old ass, like low budget, like yellow orange
yeah,
ones.
The yellow ones.
So they don't really have a bright light.
Yeah.
We make our way to the corner of the pitch black field by the fence of the woods. And we just lay down there, and we got ran past a couple times. But once the coast was clear, we just kind of hung out, waited for more attention to come our way. And all of a sudden, we start hearing rustling in the woods, kind of distant, not right next to us or anything like that. So we just look over, we don't see anything, so we just continue talking, and then we start hearing branches crack, and then we're like, "Whoa, what is going on there? Must be animals in there fighting or something," because they have like monkeys and everything over there. Tons of things that are going to be in those woods. Nothing harmful, but just the normal stuff. And
They have like wild boar over there.
they do, but not where we were at.
Oh, okay.
They have a lot of feral cats.
Yes, they do. Yeah,
It's like an actual problem.
Yes, it is. There's actually about 40 of them on our property.
Really? Yeah.
They're gross.
Yeah. I mean, ours weren't gross. People would go out and feed them.
I've seen them on. I've only
So
seen.
they're not so feral.
Yeah.
I've seen them on like on beaches, and they look just disgusting.
Yeah, some of them can look pretty gnarly, but
Because they can also carry rabies.
yes, they can.
Yeah, they're never clean, and they're always fighting with each other.
Yeah, they always get
Fighting and
sores on 'em.
fucking.
Yep, basically.
Pretty much. Some of that's kind of the same thing. If you just listen.
Yeah.
Kind of meshes together.
That's right. Let's play fighting or fucking. Let's hear that sound.
So we hear more cracking, and it's getting a little louder, and then it stops, and we just kind of stare from the darkness, and we can see maybe a good 30 feet in front of us, maybe. Mostly silhouettes, though, because, there's no light where we're at.
Yeah.
And, just the moon. It was full, I don't remember if it was full moon or not, but it's clear there all the time, so the moon being out will light up the place a little bit more than in Washington. So we have like a little bit of moonlight, and, cracking stops, look over, kind of try and focus in, nothing. So we're like, okay, this is getting kind of weird. And we just kind of look at each other, and then we hear more cracking. And this time we hear leaves, like dry leaves, like what happens in fall. And kind of a crunch and a crack here and there. And it kind of sounds more steady now, like it's footsteps. And it's kind of walking toward us. And it's still kind of distant, but we just keep looking. It's getting closer and closer. And all of a sudden we see, well, I see, and I validate this later, but from what I saw, as I kind of saw, like, the best way I can describe it was kind of like a mist. And it started off being just really dull, kind of falling from the sky, but, you know, in the woods and the trees. You know, I didn't see it. I just kind of saw a mist and then kind of hazed down very slowly. And then it actually had a color too. It was kind of like almost gold, but it wasn't bright. It was weird. It's kind of like a little twinkly too, but I don't really. It's hard to explain.
Now, were you seeing a ghost, or were you seeing probably maybe a pixie? Was there a guy that lost a shadow?
See, yeah.
Was he gonna try and take you to Skull Rock? I'm just saying, was it Peter Pan and Tinkerbell? That's all I want to know.
If it was, I think I'd be in Neverland right now.
Yeah,
I'm a child of heart, and I probably will be
back.
forever. So, but all of a sudden, you know, it's coming in. It's getting a little thicker now, and it's a little closer.
Yeah, it is.
And now, you know, we can kind of, so that 30-foot range I was talking about, so this thing had to be about 30 feet from us. And the cracking had stopped, you know, there's no more sound, but then I'm like, what do you see right now? He's like, I see like some fog or something right there. I don't even know where it came from. I'm like, okay. And we keep looking, and then it starts to kind of make a form, like a silhouette. And
Spooky.
Yeah, it gets really weird. And when it is building up, the first thing I notice is how tall it is. This thing is fucking tall. Like, I'm laying down, so maybe it looked taller than it really was.
Was he wearing a black suit?
No.
Yeah, I was just about to
This
ask.
did
It
not-
sounds like
it had-
you're describing Slender.
Yeah. Did he
from
have
stories
Did he have
so far.
tentacles and whatnot?
No.
Like
So
a real Slender.
this thing was not humanoid in any nature.
Okay.
It looked as if it was about 7 feet tall from where I was laying down, and kind of bulky too. And then when it started to form more, it looked like it had like almost like dreadlocks coming down. And the first thing that came to my mind was, holy shit, this looks like some shit coming out of the Predator movie.
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say.
it looked like that. Like, big, tall, fucking
Invisible than
beast.
not.
Yeah, like,
Kill me!
I was like,
Kill me!
Do
I
it
was
now!
like,
Do it now! Do it now!
I was like, okay, what do you see? And he repeated, like, I see someone standing in there. It's a big dude. We should probably go. I'm like, yeah, we should. And then it kind of like rushes forward and reaches out, and we just fucking ran.
Yeah.
We just fucking booked it. Like, I don't know what the fuck it was.
I would have stopped going back to that area after that.
Yeah, you get
yeah.
2 times and we're done.
Yeah.
The
So-
first time might have been a fluke, but the second time.
So that was part 2.
Okay, so how many more parts do we have?
3 and 4 can be meshed together.
Okay, because we're getting close to time here. Did you have something else you wanted to say? Or, yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess just, like, I watched this dude, his name's like Michael McGee or something. and he's
Michael McGee?
I think so, yeah. He's like from like Ireland or something.
Oh, he's Irish.
But yeah, he always encounters all these ghosts and stuff. And I'm normally like kind of skeptical of watching shows or people who's like, oh, like I caught a ghost in my house, because usually you can tell it's pretty lame or fake or whatever.
I always like they have to film it at nighttime in the dark.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just because it's a ghost doesn't mean that
Right.
like light is gonna affect it. Like it's either
Exactly.
gonna show up or not.
Yeah, it has
Like,
nothing to do with it being nighttime.
Though devil's advocate of that, no pun intended. They do shut off the power so that it doesn't show up on heat signatures.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
that is the other thing, but they don't explain that.
Oh,
They make it
gotcha.
seem stupider than it
Right.
actually is. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, and so this dude, he basically does that kind of stuff. Like, he set up cameras, he set up infrared scanners, he even uses his Xbox Kinect capture, where, you know, sometimes
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
show the lines
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
They did that in
They-
Paranormal Activity.
Yeah,
He did.
and it's basically like that. Like, there was one time he was sitting on a couch, and he's like, okay, like, I've been getting some things today. I want to see if I can communicate with someone. He sits on this couch and he's looking over and he's like, if you're here, can you come sit next to me? And then give or take 5 to 10 seconds, all of a sudden this figure pops in on the screen where there's nobody sitting, and then it goes away after about 5 or 10 seconds. And then he's like, okay, it feels a little cold over here. Like, I think somebody might be here. And then he starts asking questions, and then he's like, if you're there, can you move closer to me? And then you see this thing pop up on the screen again, the little stick figure, and then it scoots closer, and then it goes away. And it's like, dude,
What the hell?
It's so weird. Yeah, and then of course he's captured stuff falling off his counters, like things being literally pushed off his counter, cabinets being opened. He's got these cameras set up in the middle of the night, and there's no way that somebody's standing there pulling these things open with like strings or anything like that. Like, it is, because there's times where the entire kitchen gets ransacked over the course of 5 minutes. Like, cabinets being open, things being knocked off the walls, fridge being open. The water doesn't like run or anything, but like you can hear things in the sink moving around. And then he'll come downstairs being woken up in the middle of sleep. There's even one where actually you can see a shadow like drifting across the camera, and then he's sleeping, and then it's like stops by his head, and then he jumps out of bed, freaks out, and like turns on the light, runs out the room, and then comes back like a couple minutes later, and he's like, what the hell was that? Like,
he's living paranormal activity.
Yeah, pretty much. And he thinks that he's the conductor for those people. Like, he thinks that they communicate through him or something. But I'm pretty sure his name's Michael McGee. I guess if you were interested in looking up ghost stuff, go check him out, because
I might have to do that.
Yeah, as far as like ghost YouTuber hunters go or whatever, like, that guy seems pretty legit. And he's slowed down a little bit over the past couple of like months, because I think he's moving or he just got done moving. But he's lived in like 4 different houses, and they follow him to every house.
Oh,
so
jeez.
yeah,
Yikes.
so he's the conduit. It's nothing to do with where he lives. So there must be something about his energy or something.
Well, yeah, some people, like my girlfriend's grandma, is like the same way. Like, she claims that she sees, stuff everywhere she goes.
Oh,
and
wow.
she can see like portals, because there was this one time last year where the dogs would just stare at this one corner of our house every night.
Yeah,
like almost
and
the same
animals
time
have
every
that
night.
sixth
Yeah.
sense. Like, I believe when animals are looking at
Yes.
nothing, they're looking at something.
Yep, I do too. And they did that for a couple weeks straight, and then he had their grandma come out. Like, yeah, there's a portal there. We'll have to make something up special. Like, apparently that's what she does. Like, she knows how to like get rid of shit.
This room is clear.
Yeah. And another fun fact: her dad also apparently grew up around some weird shit going on, and he learned words early on that should not be in a 2-year-old's vocabulary.
Oh, I thought you said cat. I was like,
No.
wow, they had a talking cat? That's so crazy. All right. Well, I hate to cut you off on that story, but you have a little bit more time if you got a lot more
Sure.
to say. So,
Yeah. So,
I would try to wrap it up as fast as you can. So
Yeah, I got about 12 minutes. So we'll go to part 3 then. Part 3 happened, I want to say 2 or 3-ish months after the last incident. So this one happened in my room.
Oh,
Actually.
that's the worst.
Yes, it is.
Found out where you were at.
this is still in Hawaii.
This is still everything that's happened to me has happened in Hawaii and never anywhere else, even when I came back.
I wonder if they're like Pearl Harbor ghosts.
Could be. That was my theory, and you'll kind of see why here in a minute. So I'm up in my room late at night. It's summertime. I don't have shit to do. I just got done playing games. It's like, midnight-ish, 11 midnight.
I get it.
Yeah. I had to do that and then go to bed, but I didn't really get a chance because I was looking at my phone. I was gonna play a quick game.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, you know.
He's gonna play with the joystick, special controller.
And out of the corner of my eye, I see kind of something glowing. And I look over, nothing there. My room is not very big. It's maybe 8 by 10.
It's like a prison cell, basically.
Yeah, pretty much actually. It's pretty small.
Like,
I just have a closet.
Because you said it
in
was
the
college
door.
or high school.
High
or-
school.
Yeah.
But it was
High
at
school.
it was at home.
Yeah, it was at home.
Oh, at home. Oh, okay.
His
So-
family lives there. He has like
Yeah, like
3
that's
brothers
what my
and
bedroom
19
feels like
sisters.
after not living in it for like almost 10 years. It feels like a prison cell.
Yeah.
It's so small.
It was pretty small. So I go back, look at my phone, and a couple seconds later I see it again. And I look over, nothing there, and rinse and repeat. This happened a couple times. And finally I'm like, you know what? Maybe my eyes aren't playing tricks on me, and I'll just, I keep seeing it out of my peripheral. Maybe I'll just kind of look over kind of a little bit, and that's what I did. And I can just see a light just kind of pulsating in my closet. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I don't think I have anything charging in there. There's no outlet over there.
Oh, did you leave your light bright on?
Yeah, I could have.
I used to have a light bright.
I had a light bright too.
And I look over, there's still nothing there. I go rummage around the closet, there's nothing there. I'm like, okay, whatever. Go back. 5 minutes later, after I've been comfortable in bed, it happens again. And so I focus on it again with my peripheral, and I can make out a little person in my closet playing with something of theirs. Nothing in my closet's moving except for this little blue light. And it kind of looks, the more that I look at it, I've been looking at it for like 5 minutes straight at this point. It starts to look like a little girl with like little Goldilocks hairdo, little curly cues going on. And I'm like, okay, this is fucking weird. So I'm like, maybe this is more shit happening. So I try and communicate with it like a smart person. And does not acknowledge me. I say, hello, is anyone there? Blah, blah, blah. What do you want? Do you need some help? Like, standard questions you ask because you don't know what to ask.
Porridge. Were all the 3 beds nice?
Yeah. And then, like, out of then, on the opposite side of my room, I see by my door another blue light. I'm like, what the fuck? And I look at that, my peripheral, and I can make out someone a little bigger, a little more manly sized. Not too tall though, maybe around 5'6", 5'7". Just standing there with his arms crossed, looking at me. And the one thing that I remember, two things I remember most, but the first thing I noticed was the eyes. The eyes were just black, like nothingness. It was just abyss. Arms crossed, I felt like he was staring right at me, like right at me, like he fucking knew I was there or something.
He's looking into your soul.
Yeah, he's looking into my soul with his soul. And I also noticed that his hair in the back is sticking up, like out though. So I'll get into that a little bit here in just a couple minutes. And I ask him a couple questions. He does not answer at all. He just continues mean mugging the shit out of me. And at this point, I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. I try and go to sleep, close my eyes, just sit there like, okay, it's not a big deal, not a big deal. Look up. I can see them a little easier now, and I'm like, okay, sweet. Well, I'm just gonna go to bed. So sheet over my fucking head.
Yes, the classic guarding move. Nothing can get you.
It's a shield, man.
Yep.
And after about an hour and a half to 2 hours, I fell asleep finally.
Yeah.
My heart fucking racing.
No doubt.
End of the night. Boom. That was part 3. Part 4. Shit gets even crazier. So, the next night, they show up again. This time, the little girl is sitting in my closet, same spot. But now she's playing with my jacket. Like, feeling it and like touching it, like, and it kind of, I can hear it moving. So I fucking know she's touching my fucking jacket.
Yeah.
I'm like, please don't touch my shit. Like, just please, I don't know why you're here.
I can
Please,
deal with you playing with your ghost toys, but not with my real.
This is getting real. You're not supposed to be like able to touch anything here. Like, that's not like what I read online.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to get really fucking pissed now. And I'm like, I gotta go. And I like look over and fucking guy's back. Fucking guy's back. And he stands in the corner of my door. Cause like, I'm not gonna walk past that guy because that bitch just touched my shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not playing this. this is bullshit. I start getting mad now because now I can see them more than just my peripherals. I can't look directly at them, but I can see more now.
Right.
And this is like one of the very few. I'm not a religious guy, and this is one of the times that I did fucking pray. I'm like, please God, this is there's some shit that is going down that should not be going down right now. Like, please, like, somebody help me. Like, this is ridiculous. And I tell them to fuck off and like get the fuck out. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And through my shudders, the next part that happens is some fog or something. It's really hard to explain because I don't know what substance. It's kind of like a mixture of fog and slime.
Yes.
Oh.
Ectoplasm.
Sure.
Well, I was gonna
Sure.
say, yeah, some kind of plasma of some sort would probably.
It seemed that way, but it seemed like it's hard to explain. It was like grayish black, and it kind of like came through
like
as
the smoke
air.
monster from Lost.
Well, it came, yeah, kind of. That's how it started, but like it came through like a
Slimer
gas
from
and then
Ghostbusters.
collected on a spot in my ceiling above my shutters, and then it kind of made like a slug movement. Like the front would go, and then the back would follow, and then go over and over. I'm like, oh my God, why? How can this get any fucking worse? Like, what is going on? And it gets right in between them on my ceiling. And then all of a sudden, like, this weird thing happens where it kind of falls down in a gas again, and kind of like tornadoes around them. Nothing in my room is moving, so not like wind or anything. And it's just goes around them, and then it stops. They're gone, and then it collects up on my ceiling again.
Weird.
And then slug moves to the wall by my door, then down the door, and then under the door, and then it's gone. I said, thank you God, thank you, please keep them out for fucking ever. I don't ever want to experience this again. Thank you, good night.
So do you believe that there is an afterlife
Oh,
in the
yeah.
sense of the traditional biblical way?
Kind of, sort of, like,
Because
well,
do you feel, I don't mean to be like preachy about it, but do you feel like as if when you prayed, do you feel like,
oh, I feel like it helped, yeah.
like, do you think that was sent to help you?
Maybe. I had theories about that, but we don't got time for that.
Okay.
It's either like
Yeah,
something
we
that
We'll gotta wait till
yeah,
next
it's-
year.
We'll need a
Yeah.
theology.
It's either something that was sent
podcast.
there to help me, like a, kind of like a street cleaner of the
Yeah.
paranormal, maybe, or like it could have been just
All right, Jill and Mr. Jameson. All right, get in there. Get in the. Wrap it up.
The black
Get in there.
You've been raptured.
The
Yeah.
Black Eyes thing reminds me of that Bone Thugs and Harmony song Crossroads. And it's like, well, it's when the like archangel dude who's like, he's essentially the Grim Reaper walking around taking people's souls, and he walks up onto the stoop of that one house, and it's that one part where the guy goes, "Well, I miss my Uncle Charles, y'all," because he touches the dude's forehead, and then his eyes just go black, and then his soul's gone, he's dead.
Oh, shit.
And
man.
it's like, dude, that is creepy as fuck.
Well, one theory I did have about that guy's hair sticking up in the back,
Mhm.
which I talked to a couple of friends of mine. One of the military was like, well, it could have been he was Pearl Harbor, and he got his someone shot him in the head, and his back of his head blew out.
Oh,
Interesting.
yeah.
So
it's
where
like
is your
witness.
family at all this situation?
They're asleep.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna yell.
In a scenario like that, if it happened again, I might yell. I might try to get.
I'd
someone
get my
up.
ass beat if I were to.
Yeah,
do
I was
that.
gonna say,
I don't.
my
I
dad
would
being
risk. I
military
would
guy
risk
would-
it all. I'd
Yeah, he
roll
would
the dice on that
part of
one.
it.
Because like, there's no way you could like try to convince them that it would be like an existing thing. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be wrapping up our special Halloween episode. If you have scary, spoopy ghost stories, make sure you definitely put it into the description below. This has been PT3600. My name is Ryan. Joining me was
Josh.
and
Ashton.
enjoy the outro. Good night, everybody.
Every night, every night, every night.